Hello and welcome to the last episode of On the Couch with the Ethicalist, even though there are no couches, of 2024. And for our finale, our grand finale, I decided to call in somebody a little bit unique, shall we say. Sam Graham, who's F&B.
It's okay. I couldn't even pronounce the Ethicalist on Tasty Humans. So
we're equal now.
We're equals.
So Sam Graham is the F&B Director of Media One Hotel, and he is like I said, a unique character. So I thought we would end the year with somebody who brings a bit of joy, bit of laughter, bit of fun to the world of sustainability, or to my world of sustainability. Welcome.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. I feel like I have a lot to live up to already. So,
I don't think it's going to be.
It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me on, genuinely.
It's wonderful to have you here. And you had me on your show, Tasty Humans, your podcast, a few months ago.
Yeah.
And yes, you didn't know.
Never been so scared in my life.
You didn't know what my name was either. So we're all good.
I didn't know what your name was. And I always say this to people, out of all the ones I've done, you can't see it when you watch it, but I'm absolutely terrified to go up against a professional journalist.
I'm a terrifying human being.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I'm actually very terrified now. Yeah.
It was great. And if you haven't watched it, you need to go and watch it. But after you've watched this one or listened. So let's go to the beginning. Tell me what got you into F&B.
I'm 48 years old, and I would love to say something about a passion for hospitality and all the other stuff that sort of people in my position like to come out with. But essentially, in 1986, I saw a film called Cocktail with Tom Cruise in, and I didn't understand or care about any part of that film, apart from the bit that they're throwing bottles around in the bar scene. And I remember thinking at that moment, I really want to do that. And it kind of set. I learned how to juggle and stuff like this, and this is a very true story. But then, obviously, in the UK, being a waiter or a bartender coming out of school is not really back then anyway. In the sort of the very early 90s, it's not something that you can go home and tell your parents or your careers officer, "I want to be a waiter or a bartender," and they'll shoot you. You know, so. I did go into engineering, and I left school and I was an engineer for 4.5 years. And then when I moved back to London, when I was 18 with some friends, it was about another year before I was like, I couldn't do it. And I actually quit it all and went and got a job in a pub as a pub bartender in Leicester Square.
Oh, wow, busy.
And absolutely fell in love with it just because I was kind of, I don't know, maybe it's a bit of an attention-seeky thing because you're behind the bar and everyone kind of needs you to get what they want. But I really enjoyed it, and it kind of went on from there. And I did achieve that dream of going on to be what I now refer to as a clown bartender. So
not a mixologist.
Not a mixologist. I wanted to stand on the bar top. I wanted to get people in a very lively mood. You know, I really, really wanted to turn the music up, get the crowd drunk. I did practice a lot in what they, flaring and stuff like that. I used to blow fire and do shows when I was head bartender of this bar in South Africa, which was great.
Cool. Hang on, wait a minute. You skimmed over that a bit too quickly.
Yes, went over that.
Okay, finish what you were saying, and then let's go back to South Africa.
So that's how I kind of got into it. That was my inspiration. Is I just wanted to throw bottles around and stand behind a bar and look cool.
And you've achieved it, have you?
I don't know how cool I look, but I definitely achieved the throwing bottles bit. Yeah.
And entertaining people. Quick question, going right back when you're practicing your juggling, I take it that wasn't with bottles before?
No, that was with tennis balls and those very squidgy early juggling balls.
Okay.
That all kids
not with your
had,
parents' drinks cabinet.
Not with my parents' drinks cabinet. No.
Wouldn't have
and I didn't blow fire until I was 23 years old. I wasn't doing that as a teenager either.
Don't try this at home.
No, you can, but
brilliant.
Be in the garden.
Yes. And not with your parents' drink cabinet.
No. Wait till they've gone out.
So tell me, when you were in South Africa flame throwing? Like, this is not a side to you that I knew.
No,
Tell us about
so
this.
I went travelling in the year 2000. There was that sort of late 90s travelling. But so there is a slight bit that I sort of skipped out. I started working in the Rainforest Cafe in 1997 as a waiter because I didn't qualify for the bartender position because they wanted proper TGI Fridays style bartenders. I'd never done that before. So I got a job as a waiter. I was one of 3 people out of 200 that was hired with no previous waiting experience. I was hired on personality alone, which is another interesting story. I don't know if we've got time for it, but...
I'm sure we do.
Well, it was like... I went to this open day, and it was like an audition process where they sat us all together and then paired you off with people, and they gave you a sheet, and it said these questions on it. I don't quite remember them all, but it was like, what's your name? Where do you come from? Most embarrassing moment? Favourite film? Favourite movie? Stuff like this. And they paired me up with an Italian guy called Roberto. And if you're listening, Roberto, thank you, because you started this entire career for me. Because I gave as much information as I could, thinking I'm going to help you out, and he gave me very little to work with. So he just put his name, and he's like, I'm not writing embarrassing, this is stupid, all like this. Then you had to get on the stage in front of everyone and tell the crowd about, you had to swap the papers over.
Oh, no.
So I'm looking at it and I was like, well, you know, what am I left with? So I just kind of roasted him, as you say now, about being Italian and things to do with Italy. Sorry, Italy, but it's not Italy, it was him, you know. And then they pulled me out afterwards and they said, no, we're going to try you because we think you've got a very good personality. And honestly, I was the worst waiter. In the first 2 months, I was the worst. I didn't even understand what I was doing. I didn't understand the terminology. I didn't understand management speak. I mean, one time, table complained, and the manager went over and he said, look, you know, cappuccino, Americano, espresso, I'll take care of it, right? So I didn't make it. And then they complained even harder, and he said, where's the coffee? And I said in front of all the staff, I said, I thought you were making it.
Brilliant. And still they kept you? You didn't lose your job?
And still they kept me. I've dropped trays of drinks on people. You know, I've done everything you could possibly think wrong. And luckily my personality got me through.
And this brings me to what you're doing today. I know we've skipped over South Africa and we'll get back to that in a minute. But does this make you, as F&B Director at Media One, perhaps more understanding and compassionate towards your staff if they drink drops of trays?
100%.
Well, I'm sure it doesn't happen, but...
No, the thing is that I've had this conversation with many people in my line of work, which is if you haven't come from the front line, then you don't understand what they're going through. Mm-hmm. And when a shift is incredibly busy and, you know, let's say things are slowing down in the kitchen, which happens in every restaurant and bar I've ever seen. So you have to know the pressure that they're under in order to support them. You know, what can I do to help? Not come in and start, why is it all like this? Mm-hmm. You know, you've got to understand what it feels like to be looking the guest in the eye when the guest is getting a little bit frustrated. So, you know, and if you haven't been through it yourself, when I've worked for managers that say, I was never a waiter, but I went straight to hospitality school, I'm like, you can see it on them.
Yeah.
You know? They're not clueless, but they don't have that, like I say, frontline experience.
No, I mean, it's hard work. I was a waitress and did bar work for all through university and all through after university for a couple of years. And, you know, it is hard work. I remember working at a pub called the Rat and Parrot, if you remember that chain in the UK.
Yes, yeah. I haven't heard that for years.
Yeah, and it was one of my first ever shifts. And I got given out the outdoor terrace area, and it was the summer. And it wasn't the summer, but somehow it was a really sunny day. So obviously it was in the centre of Norwich, and every single table was full on the terrace. And it was one of my first days waiting, and I was on my own. And I just remember thinking, tuna melt for who?
Yeah.
You know, it was absolute mayhem. And I will never forget that shift, and obviously all the complaints, like you were saying. But you learn so much from that. And waiting is not, people think, oh, it's so easy. Actually, it's
incredibly
not.
difficult.
And to do it really well is so hard, to not take notes and et cetera, et cetera.
Like I've always said this too, to be served by somebody that has a really good personality, that understands the menu, that can deal with, because as a customer, you only see it from your perspective. You sit down at your table. You don't know the other tables that waiter's serving. You kind of know it's in the same vicinity. You don't know what level or stage that they're at in their meal. And as we refer to in in hospitality, it's like if you get double or triple sat, which means 3 tables sit down at the same time because that's just how the shift is going, you're really up against it. And if you can remain calm and stay organised, it's very talented. Great waiters. People don't believe this, but it's really, really true.
No, 100%. Like I totally hear what you're saying. So quickly go back to what you were saying about flame throwing in South Africa, because I don't want to drop that because it's fascinating.
I went travelling to South Africa, which was a country that I'd always been very, very interested in. Again, I grew up a lot in a positive sense, sitting in front of a TV watching movies. And when I saw Lethal Weapon 2 and the bad guys are from South Africa, certain members of my step family will attest to this. I just used to go around doing impressions of a South African accent because I think back in the 80s and the 90s, South Africa was definitely a country that had a certain reputation, which we'll go into, but I was quite fascinated by it. And then in the late 90s, working in the West End of London, there were so many South Africans that came over that I'd very much befriended them. So I went travelling to their country with them and ended up working in a bar in Johannesburg called News Cafe. And because I'd had some flair experience, and for any people that know my career, I was never like a great flair bartender. I could do it, but I never worked in London in the top places, like Roadhouse or places. I managed Roadhouse, but I never actually worked behind the bar. So
as a flamethrower.
Yeah, but
what's the
blowing
expression?
fire.
But what's the term?
So I went to flair bartender. Flair. They call it flair. When you throw all the bottles around, they flow the bottles and they call it flame. But in South Africa, they wanted to do these shows throughout the shift, and that's where they actually blew fire. And so that's where I learned to do that, which was, it's a lot easier than you think. But yes, there's a couple of moments where it can be, when you put the paraffin in your mouth, you have to wipe your chin. And then when you actually blow the flame, you push the bottle away. So you go, and then off it goes. Yeah. Otherwise, you could set fire to your chin and all kinds of bad stuff.
Did you have any accidents or any moments?
No, I didn't have any. I didn't have any moments.
Just lots of fun.
Just lots of fun. Torching the bar that we were working by, and we'd set the bar on fire and stuff like that. And
I just asked you if you had any moments, and you said no.
No.
We just set the bar on fire.
We set it on fire on purpose.
Didn't like the owner?
There's a funny moment where the owner got very annoyed with the fact that we were blowing the flames upwards and it was spitting torched flame paraffin onto the white ceiling, and spoke to us. We were quite cocky, and I was like 22 years old, so it was quite... So 22 is quite cocky, and so that night we just blew massive flames all over the ceiling, and we could see him in the bar. We got really told off afterwards. So we did apologise, Right. So, yeah.
But you still did it in the first place. But anyway, Media One staff.
It's always better to beg for forgiveness. You know what I mean?
So we're not going to see you flamethrowing at any Media One festivities over this festive period.
Those days are over. It's been 22 years since I did it. So. Okay, so I won't try again.
No. I think leave that to your.
I've got very little hair. I want to keep it. Yeah, exactly. Keep it to the youth.
Talking of moments, what are some of your most memorable moments that you've had over the years? And look at the smile on your face in your F&B journey.
I don't know.
Have there been moments perhaps where you're like, this is not in the job description?
There's been a lot, because it's how people behave. I think what springs to mind when I think about stuff like this is when I went from late night bars into running nightclubs, which is a massive transition of human behaviour. And I my first ever large nightclub job in London, where it was like, over 1,500 people capacity type thing, which I'd never done before. It was a club. I suppose I can say it was Pasha in Victoria, London, and it had been raided by the police for drugs, which you can Google. So I'm not dishing any everyone knew at the time. Any scoop, it's 2008. So, but and there was a very serious court case going on, super serious, and there'd been a lot of transition in the venue, and I came in as this kind of new face that represented big change. The door team had changed. The staff were very disgruntled about what happened to the previous manager. It was no fault of his. I won't go into any details, but it gets very messy. But anyway, the point is, it was my first night, and I really didn't know what I was doing. and I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants thinking, okay, like, let's just see what happens. I'd run busy shifts as a department manager in big clubs, sort of maybe clubs half the size, but never been the boss, where it's all on you.
And
you know?
suddenly you're the boss of Pasha.
And suddenly I'm the boss of Pasha, and suddenly we've got all this tension and all this intensity, and we're about to... the point is, many things happened that night, but the one that sticks out is when I got called to the office by the security, and in the office there was a man in a wheelchair, right? And he was very, he was a disabled guy from the waist down. And they're saying to me, he keeps going back and forth to the disabled toilets. And my instant reaction was, honestly, and, like, life's hard enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, my instant reaction was, what am I supposed to do in this situation?
Yeah.
But because of the court case, the authorities, the new door team, it was like, I've got to... Am I being tested? Oh, now I'm telling this story. I haven't told this story for years. I don't know if I should carry on. But essentially, so essentially, I kind of understood the gravity of the situation. I was like, right, don't think, just do. And I just turned around and I said to him, look, you've been brought in here. We think you're carrying drugs. I turned very stern. And I was like, brought in here, I think you're carrying drugs and stuff like this. And he went, no, I haven't, which is what everyone says, of course. Yeah. And he says, no, I haven't. And I was like, okay. And then I just went, get out the chair. And he went, what? And I said, get out the chair. And I said, get out the chair and sit in my chair in the office, right? This is all true, I'm not overplaying this, And maybe I should have picked a different one. But the thing is I said, get out the chair and sit in the chair. And he's looking at me, and then he ambled himself out and sat in the chair. And I said to the security, I said, take the chair apart like this. And they're, it has pockets in it, and it has places for the snack. Okay. And they pulled out a bottle of vodka and put it down. And I turned and I went, what's this? And he's like, no. And I said, no, yeah. And I sort of started having a go at him. And I was like, you bring this into the club, you can't do that. This is terrible. Do you have any drugs on you? And he was, no. Like, and then, I really forgot about this part. And then the thing is that... Then the security said he's got something on his ankle, like this. And I was like, what's that? And he said, that's my, how do they call it? Catheter bag or something?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
yes, yeah. Sorry, your facial expression's changed.
This poor eyes where I...
And then I turned around and I said, take it off. Like this.
You did not.
I did, right? I did. Because I realised that the doorman need to take me very seriously with this. Because London's a very, clubland can be quite, I wouldn't say corrupt, but there's a lot of, all the cliches...
tricksters.
I think all the cliches that you might think are happening.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And anyway, so the thing is that he takes this thing off and puts it on the desk in the office. And then I said to the doorman, and I went, strip him, like this.
Sam!
And I know, I should have just said there were some guest complaints, shouldn't I?
Story's going from bad to
I'm
worse.
sorry. There was a moment where a mouse fell out of an air conditioning unit onto a fajita tray in a restaurant, and that made a... Should I have told that one?
Better story.
But the thing is, no. But the thing is then when I said that, he went, I'll tell you. And he went, I had them. I did have them. And I was going to the toilets with my friends and I was handing them out. They gave them to me to bring them in because they thought I could smuggle them in the chair. I had them, but we've done them. And the thing is that I knew he was being really, really sincere. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, okay, cool, And then I called somebody else and I said, right, let's assist this gentleman. And I said to him, you go tell all your friends what's happened here and don't mess around in it. And I let him carry on and go back out into the club. And the point is, to answer your question, so the point is that when he left and I was on my own in the office, I sat down in the chair and I was just like, what have you done? What is this? Do you know what I mean? Like, what world are we living in, And then I sort of came out to the front door and the doorman had told the story back to the head doorman, who went on to be a good friend of mine. And he just said, you did the right thing. He did the right... I felt terrible. And to answer, like, what's not in the job description, it's like... Yeah. There are things like this that happen in clubland where you've got authority issues, you've got police pressure, but the crowd want to behave in a certain way. So you have to do almost controlled chaos. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that is
Sorry
quite.
about that.
No, I know. Well, no, I mean it's it's you did the right thing in
You
the
didn't
end.
see that coming, did you?
No, I didn't. But also, I was glad that the story ended in the way that it did, rather than you being completely in the wrong and humiliating somebody.
No, he had a great time. His friends had a great time, but you have to be extremely strict, and that's not in a. I thought it might be a bit funnier when I told it, but yeah, it's like
I think maybe the fajita and the mouse stories, where maybe we should move on to that quickly.
Yes, you know what I mean.
Any other moments that stand out that aren't perhaps necessarily quite so. What's the word I'm looking for?
Egregious.
Yes, that would be the word.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that's, like I said, it is quite a shocking story. But when people ask me about running nightclubs, I always say that it's not what you think as a manager. You think that we're in there going, oh, it's the DJ. Oh, I'm in the VIP area. Do you know? And it's not. It's a very, very, very brutal level of responsibility and a duty of care that you have to have with people.
Duty of care, particularly.
Because you are dealing with controlled chaos.
Yeah.
You want the moment where the DJ plays that tune at that moment and all of them scream. But it comes at a price of, things can go very, very wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
yes, let's move on to slightly. It's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Let's move on to slightly
really
more
lowered
festive
the tone
topics.
There,
So, talking of festivities, well, let's make the switch to the here and now, to the UAE, to Media One Hotel. What brought you to Dubai?
I had my own little bar nightclub back in the UK, and with all businesses, as people know, we had 4.5 years. We had 3.5 very good years, and then, as with business, sometimes it can go south a bit quickly. So I decided, some friends of mine came here. They'd been here for a while, and I decided to make the switch and come out here. And I've never regretted it. I really, really haven't.
How long have you been out here now?
10 years next year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So a while.
Yeah, 9.5 years.
And
now.
how long at Media One?
Been at Media One for 1.5 years.
Okay.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I'm very suited to it because I suppose, as you can see, I'm not really the typical F&B director that, the suit and the shirt and the name badge and
Media One isn't that. Media One's a very kind of quirky, offbeat hotel, and in a really positive way, and you're all quite quirky and offbeat too, so I can imagine it fits like a glove.
Well, because it's not part of a big hotel chain, we move very quickly. We're allowed to do what we want, which I really enjoy, because when you can, sometimes you have to get so many approvals to do the smallest things in some of the hotel companies I've worked for here, which is not a problem. It's just how they operate. Media One is completely different. So it really, really suits me. We can express ourselves, and I can have lots of tattoos, and nobody has a problem with that. So.
Well, no, I should hope not. They look great. The ones you did yourself, yeah?
The ones I did myself, yeah.
When you were living in your caravan?
When I was living... Nobody had to justify that. When I was living in my caravan with my... 15 children.
Yeah, this was something we were talking about off camera.
I think the term you used was...
an in-joke.
I think the term you used was pikey. You know what I mean?
With your dog on a rope outside. Moving on swiftly. So, I mean, we are about, I don't know how many minutes into this podcast, and I haven't even asked you once about sustainability. Oh, okay. So, obviously, as this is the Ethicalist podcast, I have to venture into this area.
The guy's wheelchair was very sustainable.
I'm sure.
I feel like I've really told the wrong story there.
So tell us a little bit about, your Green Key certified at Media One Hotel. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about, what you do. We work with you guys a lot. We love what you do. I think you guys quite like us too.
We do.
We've had some,
fun.
held some events with you. Yes, thank you.
You are. I think that one thing that, because I think that, look, my education in sustainability started the day that I walked through the door at Media One Hotel. So I think that as I've learned in the last 18 months, that Media One takes it very, very passionately. I don't want to say seriously, because it's a very fun hotel.
Yeah.
But it takes it very, very passionately, and I didn't know anything about it, and I'm happy to admit that. I'm happy to admit that at my age and in what I've done in my life, the furthest I got was this can of deodorant will give a big hole in the ozone layer and we're all going to burn, which was kind of the late 80s and the early 90s. And then plastic straws are bad. That was
the extent of it.
That was my thing, you know. And of course, coming into Media One, I've learned so much along the way. I have a tremendous hygiene manager, Salvan, who he actually reports to me, but I learn more from him than he ever could from me. So he's the guy that deals with the Green Key certification. He attends all of the municipality meetings, and he's always coming back and explaining what we have to do, how we separate our waste, how we work with Waste Lab, how partnering with you guys. And I think the best thing about meeting the Ethicalists was it's not boring. And that's not just a shameless play up to you because we're sitting here. It's the fact that you really are not boring.
Thank you.
And I think people mistake that. They think that sustainability, I think I might have said this when we spoke before, that you're just sort of dressed in grey, hugging a tree.
Or green.
Or green,
Yeah.
just telling everybody off all the time, which is just not the case.
No, absolutely. And, the amount of times that I've mentioned to people over, the last year since we've had the print edition that I run a sustainable lifestyle magazine, you can just see the eyes glaze over. And then I produce it out of my handbag and say, and this is it. And they, the eyes kind of light up and they go, oh, wow. They literally had it 2 days ago. Excuse me, where I showed it to somebody and they went, oh, right, sustainable. And I showed it and those words came out, oh, wow. It literally happens every time because it is so different. And, we're not here to talk about the Ethicalist, but that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be, stylish, smart, sustainable and make sustainability a bit sexier than it has been. And that's why I think we love working with Media One because you guys are also really not boring.
Yes.
You go into Media One right now and all the Christmas decorations are like monkeys, your porcelain lamp monkeys with little Santa hats on, which is the cutest thing as well. And I also love, there's a, which I'll ask you about, there's a female Santa Claus, not a male. And I think does she have her foot on his head? Was he passed out?
She does.
He's passed out drunk.
She does, yeah.
Tell us about your Christmas decorations.
Well, we're always trying to do something different, which is why I love being there, and as you know, through meeting me, I can have some very out-of-the-box kind of ideas that are very kind of off the wall. And
No.
And the thing is that last year we wanted to push the envelope massively last year, and I kind of had to, I won't say it, but we wanted to do all different types of versions of Santa, from what you'd expect to what you really wouldn't expect.
That's very diplomatically put.
Very diplomatically put, and I was told no. No.
Okay.
Especially those two ideas, definitely not. But so what I came up with last year was, I sort of presented an idea of doing something called Messy Christmas, and then writing kind of a brochure with kind of sort of where you've presented something extremely generic to your boss. And then you actually have the as our brochures read, they cross it out.
Yes.
So they've like proofread it and gone, no, it has to be this. Or no. And so what we did this year is we did Messy Christmas Part 2. I think I can say this. It's all, because it's written on the brochure, it's all gone effing corporate.
Yes,
Which is what we did, which is that now that corporate side of Christmas,
Yeah.
But we still wanted to keep the idea where now it's going to be, we wrote to Santa, but Santa's wife, Mrs. Claus, responded saying, my husband hasn't come back from when he came to Media One last year, and I'm coming down to sort you out. So we made this great video that went up, I think, about 5 days ago, where we did this whole, it's like a play on The Devil Wears Prada, where it's Mrs. Claus getting out of a Media One, sort of a Tesla, very sustainable car, you know what I mean? Coming in and just, bossing everyone around and everything like that. So we wanted to put the fact that Mrs. Claus has come to sort us out because we ruined her husband last year.
Love it.
And we kept things,
video.
and we kept things in the brochure like, we kept things like, at the office party, remember to kiss under the mistletoe, and then wrote, but no tongues. You know what I mean? And then the last one was, Happy New Year. We look forward to working with you in 2025, and cross that out and then have it written, half this lot won't be here by March, lol. Like that. So,
oh, brilliant. I love it. Now, I have seen the brochure. I picked one up the other day. And actually that brings me on to food because I saw that obviously you're offering the traditional turkey takeaway that people can order to their homes,
Yes.
I believe. So what do you offer vegetarians and vegans? Or do you not?
I think that if people say, what have you got for vegans? My gut reaction is to say a taxi. Do you know what I mean? You knew I was going to say that. You knew I was going to say that.
Like,
I actually
had to feed it to you.
Yeah,
No.
I thought she's setting me up here for the vegan thing, you know.
He doesn't mean it, by the way.
Of course not. No, and I genuinely don't. No, the thing is that we obviously we've got the turkey and we've got the other. I don't know if I can the other meat that we're doing as well that you can take away. Pork.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry.
Okay,
my brain.
sorry. Okay. I don't know if I could have. Okay, fine. All right, glossing over. So the thing is that so we're doing that. And of course, you know, we've got a lot of vegetarian and vegan dishes. I won't lie, it's tough. It's tough to come up with, because again, there's a lot more allergens involved. There's a lot more people that are very, very specific about their diets. So in the restaurant game, it's a lot more challenging to come up with very good, diverse offerings. So I think one of the best things we did was in Garden on 8. So you're familiar with Garden on 8?
Yeah. We've had quiz night there.
Yeah.
Quiz night on a Monday night. Great, by the way.
Wednesday.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. It's all right. You'd had a margarita. Do you know what I mean?
I had a couple of margaritas.
So the thing is that Garden on 8 is a casual sports bar. It's that type of place, you know. And it's got its steaks and its ribs and everything like this. So when it comes to the vegan dishes, it's like, how do we do this? How do you do something that actually sits on the menu and doesn't stick out? And we actually came up with this amazing vegan curry, which I being a carnivore, have to do the food tastings. And I was like, this is going to be interesting. It's fantastic. Really fantastic. I always say in food tastings, I'm like, my sort of answer when I'm like, I'm not a chef, so I have what I always refer to as the customer's palate, which is it either goes yeah or it goes no. And with that, I actually said, my phrase is I could eat this every day, and I could eat it every day. So
yeah, I mean,
so
fancy that being able to be vegetarian.
Yeah, vegan.
Even
it's a vegan dish. So we do our very, very best, and I think we succeed quite well with the vegan vegetarian stuff.
And have you seen an increased demand? Have you seen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, what came from and again, it's like it's all about customer behavior and human behavior that evolves over time. And in our line of work, you see it on a daily basis because our business is people, So you'd have a group of 10 come in and someone would go, what do you have for vegans? And we go, no, well, we don't have anything. Maybe a decade ago, And then
you can have some chips.
Yeah, and then essentially the unfortunate soul will just have to sit there and suck it up while everyone else is having a steak or something like this. And now it's very, very different, which is like if you don't cater for it, there's a problem there, and we respect that. So there's a much higher demand for vegan food, and we as an industry, and especially in Media One, have to challenge ourselves a lot. But I like the challenge. I really, really do. I like thinking, how can we get super creative, in ways that people...
Which is great. I mean, I remember having Christmas Day somewhere once and my main course was the cauliflower cheese. It's like you're a total afterthought.
Yeah.
So, we haven't thought about, creating something Christmassy or unique, whereas now that would never happen.
No,
it's become... talking of F&B and food at Media One Hotel, if you had to create a recipe book or a book for the F&B team,
okay,
what would you call it?
After my wheelchair story, I feel like it'd be nice.
You're still worrying about the wheelchair story.
I'm like, that didn't go the way I thought. Because I haven't told that for many. Anyway, there you go. Anyway, moving on. I think that in true Media One fashion, if I'd have to say, fork the rules. given the brochure or a play on that type of terminology.
Yes.
No forks given. Do you know
no
what I mean?
forks given. I love
forks
that.
given,
Yeah, no,
you know.
very good. Very Media One.
Very Media One.
Very Media One indeed. Was Media One, did it have this, I mean, I know that it's always been unique, it's always been quirky, but did it have this before you came along?
Yes, definitely. It's so they used
So
to
you
do,
didn't bring in the swearing.
I didn't bring in the swearing. I saw that they did it and I was like, brilliant. You know what I mean? I'm home. This sort of thing. And no, they did stuff like Easter packages where it was an Easter egg that said I got laid at Media One. There's a very sustainable coffee sort of receptacle that you can, it's an interesting word, that you could cup, that you can actually buy, and it says, blow me, I'm hot. And stuff like that. So they've always, we came up with something last year called the interactive weekend package, where it was the quickie, the one night stand and the honeymoon period for the length of stay. But they've always done it.
Okay.
They've always done it, and Mark is the general manager, and he's a big champion of it. Yeah. And I think it's only because, without sounding like an idiot, because we don't have a big corporate framework behind us where you have too many voices going, you know.
Yes, of course.
We have great support from the management company, which is Roya. It's a nice plug for Roya. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
You know, no, but we have great support from them, great support from the ownerships that don't mind this, and they're like, okay, you can bend the rules, but don't break them.
Absolutely.
And my thing is, you only find out where the line is when you've walked over it. So what I do, and I look silly in meetings sometimes, is I throw out some of the most offensive stuff you've ever heard of, and then we can rein it back instead of thinking that will never get past. That just say it, you know. Just say it. You know,
absolutely. I mean, it's better to apologise for doing something 100%. Rather than not doing it at all. Yes. Okay, and so back to you outside of Media One Hotel. If you were stranded on a desert island, what two ingredients would you take with you? And you can't say water, that's cheating.
What?
You're not a chef, but you know, you're F&B.
Okay, so I'm F&B. I don't know. It's like, again, what could you eat every day? Do you know what I mean?
Vegan curry. You said you could eat it every day.
Vegan curry, but there's more than 2 ingredients.
Oh yeah. Okay. So let's say addition a drink.
Addition a drink. Okay, cool. So genuinely, the 2 drinks I consume the most of is black coffee and water, but I can't say water, so probably I'd have to take that coffee, because if I don't have it in the morning, I don't function correctly.
Okay.
Dish-wise, I would probably have to say, pizza.
Pizza?
I love it.
What
did you think I was going to say?
I don't know.
Like I said, I'd love to sit here. I'd love to sit here and say something very F&B. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's almost like a comfort for me is to wake up in the morning and enjoy my morning coffee. And if it's a real guilty, cheaty, you know, it's pizza. You know. Okay.
I think I might have to be like, my drink might be lemonade, because then I could get. No, hang on, that's not going to make sense.
See, it's difficult, isn't it? So go on, finish.
I was thinking something along the lines of Malibu, you know, desert island. Somehow, how do I make my own? How do I make my own Malibu?
There should be some coconuts there,
and then exactly. That's what I was thinking. But then I was like, how do I distill them? I'm not quite sure. I'd work it out.
I didn't know we have to make it from the island. You didn't say that.
I don't know. That's just where my mind went. Obviously, so using nature and its abundance.
So if the island's in Colombia, I could have coffee. You know what I mean?
There you go. You wouldn't need to take it with you because it's already there.
And then what could I eat that's on an island? Fish. You'd have to go fishing, wouldn't you? I like fish as well, so that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I think I'd be vegan curry, wouldn't I?
yeah, you'd be in big trouble. You know, you're just sitting there looking at the leaves. You know.
Deary me, I'd be right at home. Is all I can say. So you know, what do you? Actually, first of all, what have you got planned for New Year? Either you, Media One, like what if people by the time this goes live in a few days' time, Christmas might have just about happened. Yeah. So what can people expect from Media One at New Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve, the best thing about New Year's Eve in Media One is that we know who we're catering to. So if you want to go, we don't have beaches. We don't have views of big, Burj Al Arab or Burj Khalifa or something like this. But what we're selling more than anything else is just comfort. If you don't want the stress, Garden on 8's going to have like a disco party, which will be casual, cheesy,
disco
fun
party. I love it.
Silly. Do you know what I mean? But it's again with Garden on 8, it knows exactly what it's doing, which is it's just catering just for simple fun. Come and have fun. No stress. You're not driving downtown where the roads close and it's full of people and everything like this. So if you are in Marina, JLT, Springs, Dubai Investment Park, if you're out that way, we did this last year. We did very well last year. In the pool deck, there's a big party by a couple of great promoters that is called Anchor, and that was outstanding last year. And the way that pool deck is, you do see the fireworks come up over the palm. So you do get this kind of huge fireworks display that comes between all the buildings that surrounds us. So it's very, very cool.
Yeah. I won't talk about the sustainability of fireworks. We won't go there, but carry on.
They're not our fireworks.
Laser light shows.
We don't look at them. We tell everyone don't look. Do you know what I mean? Don't look.
They're not sustainable.
Cover
don't
your
look.
eyes. Do you know what I mean? Cover your eyes.
At midnight, we're going to give you all masks.
That would be
your
a
eyes
real
are
Media
covered.
One thing, which would say, put these glasses on. As midnight starts, you won't believe what you see. And they're all going, I can't see anything. You know what I mean?
That's such a good plan.
That would be brilliant. The most sustainable New Year's Eve fireworks display ever. And then, so QWERTY downstairs is doing a Peaky Blinders themed
Yes, I was going to
British
ask you
thing,
about that.
Which again, it's nice to try and be a bit thematic sometimes and have some. It's New Year's, it's fun.
So what's the peak? So I'm actually, believe it or not, watching Peaky Blinders at the moment for the first time. I've tried to watch it 3 times in the past and just been like, it's not my thing, it's not my thing, it's not my thing. And then finally decided to give it a 4th go. I was like, everybody loves it. There must be something about it.
Is it good?
You've not watched it?
I've done a season, and again, I kind of got a bit.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Is it one of these things where it really ramps up a bit?
Well, no, I watched the first season and absolutely loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, I've really been missing out. And then I've started to watch the second season. I'm like, oh, this has got a bit complicated. And I haven't, I need to carry on with the second season. But anyway, we digress.
Okay. But it's good. So it's a good choice for New Year's Eve.
Well, I'm at the same stage as you because, I did season 1 and then haven't. But anyway.
Okay, brilliant.
So Peaky Blinders, what is, do people hopefully don't have razor blades in the peaks of their caps?
It's funny you should say that. No, so the thing is, QWERTY itself as a venue is like sort of based on, a British kind of brasserie type thing. So it's not... It's the problem with doing theme nights is that when you go and you say we're doing you've seen this a lot. I've seen this so many times. When people say we're doing a this party or a that brunch, and they say or Gatsby, which has just been rinsed out so much in the past. You need full-on decorations. You need to go there, and if it says we're doing this film or something like that, you have to see it. For me, anyway, you have to see it everywhere. And the thing with QWERTY is that it's already got a look and feel that can be quite dated. There's natural wood and there's a big bookcase and there's ornaments and it's got that great terrace and everything like that. So the staff's uniform already is white shirts with braces and everything. So to kind of Peaky Blinder it a bit, it's not too difficult to give the staff a bit more of the flat caps, and we are going to get not real razor blades, okay, in case they fell in the food, but we are going to get fake ones, 100%, right, that'll just sit in the cap. So we're trying the pocket watches and the waistcoats. Amazing. And then the hostesses will have the more of like the Charleston dress on that they have in the show. And just to try and just give it that look and feel, that we're not trying to recreate the show. But we're definitely giving it that kind of edge to it. Are
you going to have spitting bowls at the bottom of the bar?
Oh, I didn't think of that because I've seen the show. Yeah, no, we're going to do that, definitely. There'll be people spitting everywhere.
No punch-ups, hopefully. There's a lot of fights in that Peaky Blinders bar. So
no punch-ups.
No, good.
Well, it's New Year, you never know.
Glad to hear it. QWERTY's where I met one of my best friends when I first moved here 15 years ago. Okay. She was a DJ there in the corner where you've now got the kind of round booth table. You used to have a DJ. There used to be a DJ area there. Is there going to be a DJ there on?
There's going to be there won't be a DJ there on New Year because we're going to tailor make the playlist more from the era and that style of music.
We're not going to have that female singing those very sad war songs, are we?
No,
It's
New Year. No, it's not.
We'll skip those.
We'll skip that.
It's very Peaky Blinders, but it's a bit depressing.
That'll be New Year's Day.
And are you going to be there? Are you at work that night?
No, 100%.
Flitting around the venues,
running around. Like I said earlier on, duty of care. Do you know what I mean? Because a New Year again is. Like I said, last New Year, garden out, they're all dancing on the tables, which sounds like fun from a customer perspective, which it is. From a management perspective, you're just like...
running around, making sure nobody falls off.
Don't fall off, don't fall off. I'm actually saying, I say to the doorman and stuff like that, no, don't, leave them. When someone's doing it, they're really putting themselves out there. It's an ultimate moment of fun. They might have their picture to... Leave them up there for maybe 20 seconds or something like this, and then... politely, just let people have their moment,
Yeah, you're right. It ties in with the whole ethos of,
that's it.
of
New
Media
Year,
One.
isn't it? And everyone, we are putting the downtown. We're going to cheat a little bit, where we are going to put the downtown Dubai One Burj Khalifa on our big screens, which again we did it last year. It actually worked really, really well because people are kind of looking at it going, wow, and you're like, you do realise you're looking at a 8 by 10 foot TV screen. And it worked.
Yes, of course it does. And a lot of people, as wonderful it is to be down watching the live fireworks at the Burj Khalifa, there's a lot of traffic. It's pretty hardcore if you live at this end of town. I live at this end of town. Like you're going to be in the car for a very, very long time. So if that's the way that you can see it and be part of it, then that's perfect. It's a nice compromise. Well, on that note, I think our time is probably almost up.
Thank you.
So it's been wonderful having you on the show. It's been a great way. It's been a great way to end the year. Not serious at all, which is exactly how I'd hoped it would be.
Good.
And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And we'll be doing events with you again in 2025, which I look forward to.
Merry Christmas and Happy. And thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. Thank you. And I'll be seeing you in January for our next event, which 100%. We will be letting you know about soon. So on the line of a book called Who Gives a Fork or We Don't
or No
Give
Forks
a Fork
Given,
or No Forks Given, exactly. If somebody orders, I don't know, let's say not a vegan steak, a steak, well done, whatever it may be, do you judge people based on how they order their steak or their coffee?
Yep.
What a surprise.
Yes. No, I think carnivores are like, if you can't, certain steaks have to be cooked a certain way. Do you know what I mean? Which is just medium rare.
Okay.
Medium rare, a little bit pink. Do you know what I mean? Charred on the outside, but well done. What are you doing? I actually, when I was a waiter and I was a restaurant manager, I would look at them. There'd be a look, I'm sorry, what? Sorry, what?
And then change it anyway.
And
medium rare.
And they'll go, my steak's medium rare. And I'm like, eat it. Okay, let me convert you. You know what I mean?
Have you ever converted anyone?
No, they complain, tell me to send it back and cook it properly. I'm like, what's the world come to? You know what I mean? Human behaviour.
Also, I think actually in the UK, you can't order burgers anymore to be cooked a certain way. They have to be
medium well done.
Well done, yeah. And coffee?
Very simply, black coffee, you want to taste it. Very simple.
You mean you don't want to add cream and caramel and froth and marshmallows? Why?
Yeah, anyone's drinking, all you're drinking your morning coffee for is to go. I even have a double espresso. It's impact over volume.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Me too. First thing in the morning, double espresso.
Double espresso, bang. You know what I mean? So I don't need to do this slowly. Get me there.
I need to wake up now.
It's like perfect.
Yes.
That's it. Anyone that wants anything else, I'm like, no problem. But people that go, I'll have a caramel macchiato mochaccino with frothed milk from almonds and
add in some ice cubes and.
Well, no, funnily enough, no, I tell a lie, which is if I had ordered Americano, from somewhere like a Starbucks or a Costa or something, I do actually ask them to put 2 ice cubes in it.
Yeah, I mean, ice cubes on their own are fine. Don't get me wrong.
You give me a cup of boiling water that I have to stare at for 25 minutes.
Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with adding an ice cube. I was like adding the ice cube to all the other requests onto the coffee. Okay, so I knew that you would have an answer to both of those. And one other thing about food, if you had the opportunity to ban any dish from Dubai menus forever, what would it be?
Cheese.
I'm glad you didn't say vegan curry.
No, I wanted to. No.
Cheese.
No. Cheese. I
Really?
have a strange. I really, really dislike cheese, and
But
people.
I thought you would have pizza on a desert island.
People think I'm a grotesque weirdo because on pizza, because it's mozzarella and it's very flavourless and it's kind of like it's like glue. It's like a bonding agent that keeps everything else
really
on the
is.
pizza. You know.
Yes.
Then for some reason I'm like, yeah, no problem. But any other cheese, the smell, I can't get anywhere near it.
Really?
And people have really tried to get me to eat it over the years, and I have also tried, and can't. So no, anything with cheese platters, like no.
Okay, so cheese platters. But I mean, if you're banning cheese, there's a lot of dishes that get affected by that.
Well, do you know what people do? People don't tell you there's cheese in dishes. So there are certain dishes, I won't name them, but they've got Parmesan crust, but it's not in the menu. And then people say, yeah, but you can't taste it. And I say, so what's it doing there then? do you know what I mean? And they do this, and they won't put that there's... I ordered a burger once in a restaurant here, and it came out with cheese on, you know, and I kicked off, and I was like, it's not even in the menu. And it was like, well, and that was quite... I won't name and shame, but it was very attitudey. And I was like... Not everyone likes cheese, you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Loads of
and
people don't like cheese.
whether or not you're allergic or anything like that, people just don't like it. So yeah, I'd remove cheese. Sorry, cheese people. Do you know what I mean?
Sorry, and there's a lot of cheese people out there. The amount of people that can't turn vegan is because they can't give up cheese. That's like the number one reason that people say, I would love to be vegan, but I can't be because I can't give up cheese. People are...
That opens up a whole can of worms, doesn't it? It's like you want to, but you won't give up cheese in order to do something incredibly good and sustainable and everything like that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
we won't go into that.
You will find that is a main reason that people can't make that switch.
I'll tell you what I will say. I will say this. I know cheese is good. Now, don't get me wrong. So I really don't like it, but I know it's good. Everyone that eats, they love it. So
good, like taste-wise,
taste-wise,
not necessarily on a sustainability
it's not good
scale.
for sustainability. It's actually not very good for you. I'm very glad I don't like it, if that makes sense. Like I would hate to not like chocolate.
Okay.
Because I love chocolate. Do you know what I mean?
I hate chocolate.
Do you?
Oh, I've never eat chocolate. Just don't like it at all. I know. I never have done. I think when I was growing up, my dad didn't let me eat any sweets or any chocolate or any processed foods or anything. And obviously, like when I was a teenager, I'd eat chocolates all the time because I was suddenly allowed to because I had my own money. But I think it's rubbed off on me. And like since I've been an adult, like no chocolate. I'm just not interested.
Do you know, I think something very interesting has just happened, which is I finally know what it feels like when I say I don't like cheese. Because I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. I'm like,
what's wrong with you?
you?
Are you an alien? You know what I mean? So yeah, I think I get it now, yeah.